she robbed my business. I'm Sarah, 28F, and I have an older sister, Emma, 32F. Our relationship has always been complicated, rooted in our childhood experiences. Growing up, Emma was the star of our family, smart, outgoing, and seemingly perfect in our parents' eyes. I, on the other hand, was quiet and struggled with academics. Our parents, John, 60M, and Mary, 58F, unknowingly fueled this divide. They praise Emma's straight A's while tutoring me for hours just to maintain a B average. Family dinners often revolved around Emma's latest achievements, with my accomplishments as mere footnotes. This dynamic continued into our teenage years. Emma was prom queen, captain of the debate team, and class valedictorian. I found my niche in art class, but my parents saw it as just a hobby. When I won a local art competition, they barely acknowledged it, too busy planning Emma's graduation party. College further highlighted our differences. Emma went to an Ivy League school on a full scholarship, studying finance. I opted for a smaller state school, majoring in art and design. Our parents took out loans for my education, often reminding me of the investment they were making. After graduation, Emma landed a prestigious job at a top financial firm in New York. I moved back home, working part-time at a local gallery while building my online jewelry business. Our parents constantly compared us, asking when I'd get a real job like Emma. Despite the tension, Emma and I maintained a cordial relationship. We'd catch up at family gatherings, exchange birthday gifts, and occasionally grab coffee when she was in town. But there was always an undercurrent of competition and resentment. 5 years ago, I moved out and focused on growing my jewelry business. It was tough at first, long hours, tight budgets, and constant self-doubt. But slowly, my unique designs gained a following. I opened an Etsy shop, then my own website. Last year, I even hired 2 part-time assistants to help with orders. Emma's career seemed to be skyrocketing too. She was promoted to senior analyst, then manager. She bought a luxury condo and drove a fancy car. Our parents beamed with pride at her success, often suggesting I should learn from Emma about financial stability. About 6 months ago, everything changed. Emma called me late one night, sounding panicked. She'd been fired from her job for misconduct, specifically, falsifying financial reports to make her team's performance look better. She begged me not to tell our parents or anyone else. I was shocked. Emma had always been the perfect one, the rule follower. This seemed so out of character. But she sounded desperate, so I agreed to keep her secret. She assured me she'd find a new job quickly and no one would ever need to know. A week later, Emma called again. She was struggling to pay her bills and asked if I could lend her some money. Against my better judgment, I agreed to loan her $5,000. I dipped into my business savings to help her, figuring she'd pay me back soon. Weeks turned into months. Emma still hadn't found a job, and she kept asking for more money. Another $1,000 for rent. $500 for car payments. $300 for groceries. Each time, she promised it was the last time and she'd pay me back soon. I was getting worried about my own finances, but I felt guilty saying no. When I gently asked about her job search, Emma got defensive. She'd snap at me, saying I couldn't understand the pressure she was under. She'd remind me how she'd always supported me, which wasn't true, and how I owed her this help. Last month, Emma called asking for another $3,000 loan. This time, I hesitated. I explained that I'd already lent her over $10,000, and I was concerned about my own business's stability. I asked for some kind of repayment plan before lending more. Emma exploded. She accused me of being selfish and jealous of her success. I reminded her that she currently didn't have a job, which only made her angrier. She brought up every petty childhood grievance, saying I was enjoying seeing her struggle. I stood firm and said no more loans without a plan. She hung up on me. The next day, our mom called. She was furious, saying I was being cruel to Emma. Apparently, Emma had told her I refused to help after she lost her job due to company downsizing. She'd completely twisted the story to make herself the victim. I was stunned. After keeping Emma's secret for months and draining my savings to help her, she'd lied to our parents and turned them against me. In my anger and hurt, I told Mom the truth, that Emma had been fired for misconduct and had been lying about it this whole time. Mom was silent for a long moment, then said she'd call me back. An hour later, both our parents called. They were upset that Emma had lied but also angry at me for keeping it from them. Dad said I should have told them immediately so they could have helped her. Mom was crying, saying she didn't know what to think anymore. Now Emma is furious that I betrayed her by telling our parents. She's been sending me angry texts and voicemails, calling me every name in the book. She says I've ruined her life and she'll never forgive me. Our parents are disappointed in her lies but also mad at me for not being honest from the start. The whole family is in chaos. Our younger brother, Tom, 25M, is stuck in the middle, trying to mediate but mostly just staying out of it. Our extended family has gotten wind that something's wrong, but no one knows the full story. I feel terrible about how everything turned out. I was trying to help Emma, but now I feel like I've just made everything worse. Part of me thinks I should have just kept giving her money to keep the peace. Another part feels like she pushed me into this corner and I had no choice but to tell the truth. I'm torn between guilt over betraying Emma's trust and anger at her for lying and manipulating me. I'm worried about the long-term damage to our family relationships. And I'm stressed about my business's finances after lending Emma so much money. Was I wrong to finally tell the truth? Should I have just kept quiet and continued helping Emma financially? How do I fix things with my family? I'm lost and could use some outside perspective. Ida? Update 1, 2 weeks later. Thank you all for your comments and support on my original post. The past 2 weeks have been a whirlwind, and I wanted to update you on what's happened. The day after I posted, Emma showed up at my house unannounced. She was livid about me telling our parents the truth. We had a huge argument that lasted for hours. She accused me of ruining her life and trying to turn our family against her. I defended myself, saying her own actions and lies were responsible for this mess. During our fight, Emma revealed something that shocked me. This wasn't the first time she'd been fired for misconduct. She'd lost 2 previous jobs for similar reasons but had managed to keep it quiet. I was stunned. All those years of her perfect career had been a lie. After Emma left, I started digging online. What I found was disturbing. Emma had been arrested at her previous job for embezzlement. The charges were dropped when she agreed to pay back the money, and somehow she'd kept it out of the news. I felt sick realizing how long she'd been hiding this from us. I called our parents to tell them what I discovered. They were devastated. Mom admitted that they'd given Emma a large sum of money recently to help with bills after her supposed layoff. Now they were worried it had gone to pay off her embezzlement debts. We decided to confront Emma as a family. The next day, we all met at our parents' house. It was intense. Emma tried to deny everything at first, but when faced with the evidence, she broke down. She confessed that she'd been struggling with a gambling addiction for years and had been embezzling money to cover her debts. Our parents were heartbroken but said they'd support Emma if she agreed to go to rehab. Emma refused, insisting she didn't have a problem and we were all overreacting. She stormed out of the house, leaving us all in shock. The next few days were chaos. Our parents were a mess, blaming themselves for not seeing the signs. Our brother Tom was angry at Emma for lying but also upset with me for airing our dirty laundry. Extended family members started calling, having heard rumors about Emma's troubles. I was struggling to process everything. I felt guilty for not realizing how bad things were with Emma sooner. But I was also angry at her for taking advantage of me and potentially damaging my business. I didn't know how to feel or what to do next. A few days later, Emma texted me asking if she could stay at my place. Our parents had frozen her bank accounts and cut her off financially until she agreed to get treatment. I was torn. I didn't want her to be homeless, but I also didn't trust her anymore. After a lot of thought, I reluctantly agreed to let Emma stay for 2 weeks max, with strict conditions, no guests, no drinking, and she had to actively look for a job. She agreed to my terms. It's been a week now with Emma staying here, and it's been rough. She's moody and resentful, barely making an effort to find work. I caught her trying to sell some of my jewelry inventory online. When I confronted her, she claimed she was just borrowing and would pay me back. I don't know what to believe anymore. I'm struggling to balance my desire to help my sister with protecting myself and my business. Our parents think I'm doing the right thing by giving Emma a chance, but I'm not so sure. Tom thinks I'm enabling her and should kick her out. The situation is affecting my work. I'm distracted and stressed, falling behind on orders. My assistants have noticed and are concerned. I haven't told them the full story, but they know something's wrong. I'm also dealing with the emotional fallout of everything. I'm having trouble sleeping and concentrating. Old childhood insecurities are resurfacing as I question everything I thought I knew about my family dynamics. Yesterday, I found Emma on the phone with our aunt, telling her a completely false version of events that painted her as the victim and me as the villain. When I confronted her, she just shrugged and said she was managing the family narrative. I don't know how much longer I can do this. I want to help my sister, but I also feel like I'm being manipulated and taken advantage of. Our family is still in turmoil, with different relatives taking sides and offering conflicting advice. I'm at my wit's end. Should I stick it out for another week as promised? Or am I just being manipulated again? How do I protect myself and my business while still trying to help Emma? And how do I handle the wider family drama this has created? I could really use some advice on how to navigate this situation. I feel like I'm in over my head and don't know what to do next. Update 2, 1 month later. I want to thank everyone again for all the advice and support. The situation with Emma has escalated dramatically, and I needed to update you all. About a week after my last post, I came home from work to find my apartment in chaos. Emma was gone, along with most of my jewelry inventory and a significant amount of cash I'd hidden away. I was in shock. I immediately called the police to report the theft. While filing the report, the officer revealed something that floored me. There was already a warrant out for Emma's arrest in another state for grand larceny. She'd stolen a large sum from her previous employer before fleeing to our city. This went far beyond the embezzlement I knew about. I called our parents, feeling numb. They were crushed but admitted they weren't entirely surprised. Dad then revealed that Emma had stolen from them too. She'd taken out credit cards in their names and racked up massive debt. They'd been too embarrassed to tell anyone. The next few days were a blur. I spent hours with the police, itemizing everything Emma had stolen. I had to contact my customers, explaining that their orders would be delayed or cancelled. Many demanded refunds I couldn't afford to give. My business, which I'd worked so hard to build, was crumbling around me. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Emma. She begged me not to press charges, promising to pay me back everything if I gave her time. I told her she needed to turn herself in and get help. She hung up on me. A few days later, the police caught Emma trying to pawn some of my stolen jewelry 2 states over. She was arrested and is now facing multiple felony charges. Our parents hired her a lawyer, but given her prior record, it's not looking good for her. I'm still trying to process everything that's happened. The financial hit from Emma's theft has been enormous. I've had to lay off my assistants and might lose my studio space. I'm facing the very real possibility of having to start over from scratch. The emotional toll has been just as heavy. I'm dealing with intense anxiety and trust issues. I feel guilty for not realizing how bad things were with Emma sooner, but I'm also furious at her for taking advantage of me and potentially ruining my livelihood. Our family is divided over how to handle the situation. Some relatives think I did the right thing by reporting the theft, while others say I should have protected Emma and handled it within the family. I'm getting pressure from some aunts and uncles to drop the charges, but I don't think I can do that. Our parents are devastated. They're supporting Emma legally but have told her she's on her own financially. They've apologized to me for doubting my story initially, but there's still tension. They're struggling to reconcile the daughter they thought they knew with the person Emma has become. My brother Tom has been my biggest supporter through all of this. He's helped me catalog the remaining inventory and set up online fundraising to try and save my business. He's also been running interference with the extended family, fielding their calls and defending my actions. I'm trying to rebuild, but it's hard. Some days I can barely get out of bed, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what's happened. Other days I'm filled with determination to overcome this setback. It's a constant emotional roller coaster. I know Emma is facing serious consequences now, but part of me wonders if this is what she needed to finally hit rock bottom and get help. I hope she takes this opportunity to turn her life around, but I'm not sure I can ever trust her again. I'm focusing on putting one foot in front of the other. I'm working with my remaining customers, trying to salvage what business relationships I can. I'm looking into small business loans to try and rebuild my inventory. And I'm considering legal action against Emma to try and recoup some of my losses. I'm also dealing with the wider repercussions in my personal life. Some friends have been incredibly supportive, while others have distanced themselves from the drama. I'm learning who I can really count on in a crisis. Through all of this, I'm trying to take care of my mental health. I've started seeing a therapist to work through my feelings of betrayal and guilt. It's helping, but I know I have a long road ahead. I'm still unsure about the future. How do I move past something like this? How do I balance my anger at Emma with the love I still have for my sister? And how do I rebuild my life and business from here? I'm feeling lost and could use any advice on how to navigate this situation. Update 3, 6 months later. It's been half a year since my last update, and I wanted to share how things have progressed with the Emma situation and my life in general. Emma ended up pleading guilty to multiple charges of theft and fraud. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 18 months. Watching her being led away in handcuffs was one of the hardest moments of my life, but I also felt a sense of relief that she was finally facing consequences for her actions. I made the difficult decision to maintain no contact with Emma while she's in prison. It wasn't easy, but I realized I need this time to heal and rebuild my life without her chaos. Our parents still visit her regularly, and while they were initially upset by my decision, they've come to respect it. My jewelry business took a massive hit from Emma's theft, but I've been slowly rebuilding. I started a GoFundMe campaign to help cover some of the losses, and the support from my customers and community has been overwhelming. Several local artisans even donated materials to help me restart production. I'm not back to where I was before, but I'm making progress. I've moved to a smaller studio space and am focusing on custom orders rather than maintaining a large inventory. It's been challenging, but also rewarding to connect more directly with my customers. I've been going to therapy regularly to work through my trust issues and guilt. It's been helping me process everything that happened and set better boundaries in all my relationships. I'm learning that I'm not responsible for Emma's choices, and it's okay to prioritize my own well-being. Our extended family has mostly come around to understanding why I had to report Emma's theft. There are still a few relatives who think I should have handled it differently, but I've learned to ignore their opinions. My closest friends and immediate family have been incredibly supportive throughout this whole ordeal. I recently received a letter from Emma in prison. She apologized for everything and said she's finally getting help for her gambling addiction. She's attending therapy sessions and Gamblers Anonymous meetings. Part of me wants to believe her, but I'm cautious. I've been hurt too many times before. I'm not ready to let her back into my life, but I'm glad she's getting treatment. Our parents are working on forgiving Emma while also respecting my need for distance. It's been a delicate balance, but we're communicating better than we have in years. They've stopped comparing us and are making an effort to show interest in my business and life. My brother Tom has been my rock through all of this. He's helped me with the business, listened when I needed to vent, and stood up for me with difficult relatives. Our relationship has grown stronger, and I'm grateful for his support. Looking back, I realize how much Emma's behavior affected my life for years. I was always trying to keep the peace, make excuses for her, protect her from consequences. It was exhausting and unhealthy. I'm learning to break that pattern and stand up for myself. I've made some new friends through a support group for family members of addicts. It's been helpful to connect with people who understand what I've been through. They've given me valuable advice on setting boundaries and taking care of myself. My business is slowly but surely getting back on track. I've hired one part-time assistant and am cautiously optimistic about the future. I'm even considering expanding into teaching jewelry making workshops, something I've always wanted to do but never had the confidence for before. I'm focusing on rebuilding my life one day at a time. Some days are still hard, but I'm proud of how far I've come. I'm learning to trust my instincts and value myself more. I'm also working on forgiving Emma, not for her sake, but for my own peace of mind. I don't know what the future holds with Emma. Maybe someday we can rebuild our relationship, but for now, I'm prioritizing my own healing and growth. I'm learning to be okay with the uncertainty and to trust myself to make the right decisions for my life. This experience has taught me a lot about resilience, self-worth, and the importance of healthy boundaries. It's been a painful journey, but I'm coming out stronger on the other side. I'm hopeful for the future and excited to see where my life and business will go from here. Thank you all for your support throughout this journey. Your advice and kind words have meant more than you know. If there's one thing I've learned, it's the power of community, whether it's family, friends, or even strangers on the internet. We're all stronger when we support each other.